Hello everybody, hope you're doing well. It's been a while. And in this video, we're gonna talk a little bit about Bitcoin dominance, as you see on the chart. We're also gonna look at fear and greed index, because right now everybody's in fear. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that, and you're gonna see that when people are in fear, it's probably a good place to, to not be in fear. So, there's that. We're also gonna look at Bitcoin, of course, what's happening on Bitcoin, because right now it dumped down like big time. And, is it gonna recover? Is it over? I'm gonna tell you what I think about that. Both short term and long term. We're gonna look at 4-hourly time frame, but also a little bit bigger time frames. We're gonna see what's happening there. We're also gonna talk about Ethereum a little bit because there's a big giant triangle on Ethereum that's not yet broken either towards downside or upside, and we're still waiting for that to break up. And what this means for altcoins, because everybody's waiting for it. That's also basically Bitcoin dominant chart. What does this mean for altcoins? When are altcoins gonna pump? Have you seen the charts of altcoins, guys? Sometimes life is just sad. We're gonna look at DXY. I'm not a big proponent, as you know, of DXY and looking DXY versus Bitcoin and stuff like that. But I do know people want to know what's happening with DXY. So we're gonna talk quickly about that. We're gonna of course look a little bit about S&P 500, Nasdaq, and the Dow, because stock market, why not? And then at the end, we're gonna talk about Match Group and NIO. Yes, I know. Those are two stonks we're gonna talk about. There are some interesting things that are happening with NIO right now, and I've been saying, for a while that NIO might actually perform well eventually because it's down somewhere at the bottom. But I also want to talk a little bit about Match Group because I think it's also at the bottom, which is actually very interesting. And then maybe some kind of words on what we're gonna do forward with the channel. As you see, I haven't been actually uploading that much and doing anything live. There is that. Now before we start, how you guys doing? Doing well? I hope you're doing well. Now I'm doing this video instead of live stream because I can just focus on the chart. Don't have to use the time talking to people and stuff like that. Maybe it's maybe it's the way to go forward. So there is that. Anyways, let's get into the things. And right now we are looking at the Bitcoin dominant chart, and we can look at a little bit bigger time frames over here, monthly time frame. You see up here the Bitcoin dominance over here reached something like 64%, and our theory was that it can reach 70% if it goes higher up. But the more I look at the chart now, if you look at over here on the monthly time frame, this technically has not broken the trend, right? So we are still in the monthly trend towards upside, and every time you have some kind of monthly trend, anytime you have any kind of trend, you should assume that this trend is gonna continue, right? And right now it hasn't broken down, but if you look at small time frames, there is sign of weakness, and that's actually what we are looking for. So before actually stuff breaks down, you'll often see on the chart that there is some kind of signs of weakness. So over here, if you look at a weekly time frame, the sign of weakness came over here when it dumped down from 61% all the way down here to 54%. That was the sign of weakness, and the reason for that is because it broke the trend over here. Technically over here it didn't break the trend over here, the big trend, as we see on the monthly time frame. But you'll see over here that it did break the trend over here towards downside a little bit, right? And this breakdown of the trend indicates always some kind of weakness in the price, especially once you start over here going to higher up here towards upside. Try to break out of this channel towards upside, and then it smashed down towards the support, then came right back up here towards the resistance again, pulled back, tried to break it. Right now it broke it. It's just above that a little bit over here. We're gonna talk what this means for a continuation towards upside or downside, but it already is showing major signs of weakness, and this sign of weakness coming of this line over here. So it was some kind of rising triangle over here towards upside. Tried break up, failed that, pull back down hard over here. Failure also indicates weakness over here. Pull back down hard, and right now it's trying to recover up here. Recovered up here, but it's not going. It tried going, but it's not going. So this is a sign of weakness, and sign of weakness is it's the very first step before stuff actually drops down big time. So what I'm looking for is actually when is this trend actually gonna end? Right, so over here we got some kind of trend over here towards upside. You can see over here sign of weakness. where we fell out of the trend. We're trying to get up there again. We failed that. We are right now, you know, zigzagging over here, and right now I'm looking for this to break down over here. There are couple of lines over here. First line, of course, is over here that needs to break towards downside, but it already looks very, very weak, which actually corresponds very nicely with our theory that, you know, in October we will see some kind of, you know, bull market topper around October. And the reason for that is, if you look at this chart over here, now for people unfamiliar with my channel, I'm sorry guys, I'm sorry. Over here it starts in September, October, November, December. There's 3 last lines. This is what we call supermoons. Yes, I know, superstition and all of that, doesn't matter. Those are supermoons, right? And every time we get some kind of supermoons, you know, it's oftentimes some kind of a change in sentiment, right? Change in sentiment, change in sentiment, change in sentiment, some kind of change in sentiment over here at the bottom, at the top, right? So change in sentiment happens on over here on the very bottom. Change in sentiment happens, right? And right now we are still very much bullish over here towards upside, but we come up here towards September, October, November, December, over here change in sentiment. So our theory is that, you know, 4-year cycles of Bitcoin from 21 to 25, end of 2025 should be end of the bull market, right? So right now we still got, you know, at least 6 to 8 months left until we actually get over here towards the top. So, you know, we are still on the track to reach that point. That said, we are still looking for altcoins to have a nice rally towards upside, but it will happen when this actually breaks towards downside. Now, it does not have to do the move over here, break the support level, and then go towards downside before we actually get confirmation. By the time you get confirmation on something, it's already too late, right? By the time something is at the top, it's already too late. Oftentimes people are waiting way too long before buying because they want to be sure that it's going towards upside. So they're waiting and the price goes up. They're waiting and the price goes up. They're waiting, okay, now it's confirmed that it goes up. It's often too late, right? So we want to figure out as soon as possible where it's over, where it's going to happen or not. And over here, we are already getting these signs that it is, you know, pretty much right now having strong weakness for move towards downside. What I'm looking for over here is the break off here of 59.6 or something like that, move towards downside over here, maybe even down to the line. That's going to be a huge weakness if it hits the line over here towards again. But as soon as it starts breaking over here, that's a major weakness. Again, it goes down here to the bottom, and whether it does this over here or just down here really doesn't matter. It already shows that it is on the way to capitulation towards downside, right? So the dominance is definitely right now pushing you big time. And if you look at altcoins right now, they are pretty much wrecked. Like, you know how wrecked they are, right? So if they start pumping, if altcoins start going towards upside, there is no way that Bitcoin dominance can keep this up, because Bitcoin has maybe 50, 100k left towards upside. I don't know, maybe even 200k. It really doesn't matter. It's at 200%. And if you look at altcoins, doing 200-300% for altcoins is like they do it in one pump. You understand? So there is no way Bitcoin dominance can, you know, play against altcoins right now if altcoins start going. And that gives me very good, you know, feeling when it comes to altcoins that once this starts actually falling towards downside, we're gonna see huge altcoin season, and that's that. But right now, I already see right now why this is not working. I already see right now major weakness in the chart. Now let me show you over here on the monthly time frame also. There is other weaknesses on the chart that are showing up all over the place. So this move towards upside, we already have bearish divergence up here. So you can see up here the close right now is still towards the upside, but the RSI is going towards downside. This is bearish divergence. It's already showing us weakness. So there is 2 weaknesses we already see in the chart right now. That there is a good chance for this to go towards downside. Of course, RSI weakness is nothing to be sure of, because in the next couple of months, if this just continues going towards upside up here, this might go above whatever this is over here, 70, go to 80 up here. There will be no weakness, and it just continues going towards upside. That can definitely happen. But right now we're just gonna assume that this is a sign of weakness. And I think if in March we come to the March and March plays out and this starts going towards downside, I think it's gonna be pretty much confirmed that this over here, this bearish divergence is gonna play out and that it's gonna drop towards downside. Another thing important to notice when it comes to this Bitcoin dominant chart is that entire move towards upside up here, the MACD has actually been losing momentum towards downside. And this is right now really hard to push again towards upside because it's been pushing it for so long. And right now we're coming to this, maybe a couple more months before this actually breaks down big time towards downside. Because oftentimes when you see these moves towards downside, they can break down and come back up there again. And I don't have it on this chart. That can definitely happen. That just continues over here towards upside. But when you have prolonged move like this over here, very, very long move that an entire move is just losing momentum over an entire move, this gives us more and more, I won't say credibility, but more and more, how do you say it? More and more confidence that it'll break towards downside. So I'm looking also at MACD to break towards downside, eventually get this bearish cross over here and break towards downside because this over here is coming towards downside. So looking at Bitcoin dominance, I'm not confident, but I have high hopes that it will break down soon because there are definitely signs of weakness. There is definitely signs of topping out. And my theory that it's going to go up to 70%, I don't think that holds anymore. I think that's going to be a very, very hard thing to do because over here on this move when he went up to 64 up here, I mean, there is still a chance that it can go all the way up to 70k. But right now it does look like over here we might actually do this zigzaggy top up here. And this zigzaggy top up here, the zigzaggy top up here is been going on right now. This is a monthly chart, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months, almost 6 months we've been zigzagging up here at the top. And right now I'm looking for this actually to break towards downside on the monthly time frame. So if you look at a monthly time frame over here and you look at a trend over here, entire trend on the dominance up here, I'm looking for this actually eventually to break towards downside. So there is that. Have you seen these guys? Extreme fear. 10. Fear and greed index. Imagine the fear in the market. Bull market is over. I lost all my money. Altcoins are down 90%, 99%, 70%, God knows how many percent down. What's gonna happen next, right? It went from, greed very fast. This is yesterday, last month, 72 last month, last week 50 neutral. They were like, oh, what's gonna happen? And then they start getting very, very afraid. And right now, they're at maximum fear. 10 is maximum. I don't think we hit 9 ever. Maybe over here there was 6 over here, 9 over here at the bottom over here. But right now we are all the way down at the 10 over here, 27 February. We are all the way down at the 10, and this is max fear. But I want to show you something. So this over here right now, the fear is 10, but over here back in May 2022, we also had this extreme fear. And over here in, when was it? May 2021, 30 May, June, we also had this extreme fear. And over here, we also had a little bit fear over here around, sorry about that, around January 2022. We also had a little bit fear here. But let's see how this actually played out. Let's see how this actually played out on the chart. So, over here was the June 2022, this capitulation move all the way from 48k down to 20k when we capitulated. This is the maximum fear. That's the extreme fear level 10 or 9 or 6, whatever that was, right? Another one of these extreme fears was also here in June 2021, like we just saw. Over here there was also extreme fear. And the other one that I just showed you was also in January 2020. So there was these 3, 1, 2, 3. And if you see over here back on the chart, that's the first one, that's the second one over here, and that's the third one, right? But you see these extreme fears, when they happen, what happens is actually the price actually goes up from these levels. It doesn't have to continue going up towards top, but you at least you have to have some kind of rebound, right? Because there is an extreme fear. People sold, people panic sold, liquidations happened. I don't know if you're following X, but there are definitely liquidations are happening. Bybit got hacked. People say about a Bybit hack, 1.4 billion hacked. And I'm just thinking, they make 1.4 billion in 1 week. You guys don't understand how much money they're making, right? That said, it has absolutely no effect on the markets whatsoever. They are still solvent, everything is good, and then they're gonna pay cover the loss, whatever. But important thing is that the level T extreme fear always pushes us towards upside, right? Always pushes us to upside. It doesn't have to push us too much, but there is always some kind of rebound. Over here there was extreme push towards downside, and then we broke towards upside, and then it started going towards upside. Extreme fear, exhaustion pattern, and then we went towards upside, right? But the important note is that when you have these extreme fears, when people are in panic, liquidations that happen, what does happen is you have to move towards upside. It doesn't it doesn't have to go up. But the next move that I'm looking for Bitcoin is how much it can go up, which is actually very, very important, because right now over here you'll see that we just had a dump, this on the weekly time frame, 13-14% dump towards downside over here, and the rebound will come. The rebound will definitely come, and we are gonna watch how well it rebounds. Does it goes above the 10-20 moving average? Does it go over here above the support levels over here? Actually, the support levels are a little bit higher up here towards upside. Does it go above 94 support levels over here or not? What's gonna happen? How well it rebounds? Because rebound needs to happen. It needs to retest something, because extreme is high. People panic sold, people are in major fear, a lot of people are shorting because things just going to continue going towards upside. So you definitely need to go a little bit towards upside just to test the waters to see whether we are bullish or not. And that next move is going to be very, very important. So over here, before we go into the small time frames, you can also look at the bigger time frames over here. And you'll see right now that the weekly RSI is not actually that low. It's just keeping these 50 levels over here. So every time we hit these 50 levels on the weekly RSI, we bounce from these levels. Right now, not only do we have the 50 levels right now where we previously bounced, you can see over here, this is capitulation move. We went down below these levels. These levels oftentimes do hold over here towards upside a little bit. But once you go below the 50 levels, you are in some kind of downtrend. But once you're above the 50 levels, this move over here, this is definitely uptrend move. And right now we are on the support of that level. Not only that, we got this extreme fear at level 10. And everybody is mega bearish right now. So this looks very, very good. Yes, we over here, we got a bearish cross up here, but this bearish cross doesn't tell us anything. Not only that, the MACD momentum is actually climbing higher up here towards upside, which is actually very, very nice. Overextensions towards downside on the weekly time frame, we also got that. These huge overextensions, you can see up here, the last time we had that kind of overextensions was right over here. And these overextensions tells us something about how much the price is overextended, either towards downside or upside. How much is it away from this, average price? And right now it is very, very low. So we got these low overextensions. We got RSI hitting the support level on the 50 on the weekly time frame, and we got an extreme fear. All very nice moves. So right now, the way I'm seeing the Bitcoin price is I'm looking for this move towards upside, regardless of where that is. So we're gonna zoom in a little bit over here on the 4-hourly time frame and see what's actually happening on this move towards upside. I'm gonna invert the chart because people often have a hard time analyzing the charts that go towards downside because they always look at bullish charts. But we're gonna look at a little bit over here like this. What we're gonna see here is that we had a very steep trend over here that actually broke a little bit, and then we got these two pivot points towards downside and towards upside. These two pivot points up and down, they create a very nice trend line over here. It goes something like this. And what you're gonna see up here right now, it is trending still towards upside, right? It is trending towards upside. And can you try breaking up here towards upside? Can we go higher up here? Definitely can. But what this pattern up here is called, so when you have some kind of pole, this is a pole, and you have a price that's flagging towards downside. This is what we call a bull flag, right? Because it goes up, flags, and then continues going towards upside. On the other hand, we have something what's called exhaustion pattern. That's when price goes up and continues going up, but in flagging towards the upside. This is actually very, very bearish. It can often break towards upside up here, and if it does that, it's actually very, very bullish. In our case, very bearish, but oftentimes these exhaustion patterns fail and go into onto the other side. So what I'm looking over here is that exhaustion pattern, right? We had a big explosion towards downside, technically over here on towards upside, and right now what we are doing is doing this, flagging towards upside, exhaustion pattern. We are exhausting the shorters, we are exhausting the panic sellers and the liquidations, and once this exhaustion is done, and nobody more is panic selling, nobody more is getting liquidated, people are because right now they're still piling on. Every time price comes up here, new shorts are coming in and they're piling up your shorts. So you have to exhaust the shorters as well. So you have to exhaust the panic sellers, the liquidations, the short sellers. You have to exhaust the market a little bit because there is a lot of emotions going on right now. But once this is actually exhausted, the price fails and recovers. And over here, what we are looking for right now is let's invert chart back. What we are right now looking for is when are we gonna get this exhaustion pattern right over here that breaks towards upside again. Now, how this might actually play out, we might get another one of these big moves down over here, but if that happens, that is definitely 100% capitulation move, and it's gonna go right back inside the channel over here and then again violently towards upside. At least that's what I'm looking for. On the other hand, if you do not get any kind of major capitulation move, this capitulation move can always be seen on the volume. So if you do break down over here, the volume should spike over here above these levels over here towards upside, and that often is some kind of capitulation, less capitulation move, and then the price violently goes towards upside. The reason I think this capitulation move can actually happen is because we are still seeing very, very slow downtrending move, and I think we need to see fast move down and then fast rapid recovery up, like one candle down, one candle up, and then just right back above the channel up here. I think that's gonna mark when we are finished with the downtrend. So the way I see it right now, this downtrend over here is that it's not down just yet. There is still probability to break down over here towards downside. We can definitely go down lower over here, but overall, regardless of whether it's breakdown or not, I'm still looking for this exhaustion pattern over here to recover up here above the channel and then go again towards the upside. And when it comes to how high towards the upside, that's a good question. Over here on the daily time frame, we can also see that right now we are hitting this 200 moving average, which is interesting, but I think there is a good chance we might actually break it because of the capitulation. But once we actually start recovering, it's going to be very interesting to see these levels over here, because over here there was a major level of support. We fell through that. You can see the moving averages coming down towards us. So once we start actually coming back up here towards the upside, it's going to be interesting to see where we break this level over here. That's around 93 to 97,000, because if we can actually manage to break this towards the upside, I mean, the people in extreme fear right now are going to go into extreme euphoria very, very fast, very fast. But how fast that's gonna happen? Is gonna zigzag over here, it's gonna create some kind of pattern, it's gonna do like this and do something like this over here. Nobody knows, but I mean, I'm bullish. I'm very much bullish right now, at least for the move towards upside. See the reaction, because if it starts failing to break up here, starts going down here again hits the 200 moving average, there's a very good chance we might actually see lower levels, but I don't see that right now happening. But I am interested in seeing how high can we actually go on the rebound, and the rebound is gonna happen soon. I just don't know when, whether we're gonna have the capitulation move or not. But I'm looking for this rebound move once it actually gets out of the channel and then move towards the upside. So those are on the small time frames what I'm looking for and how this is gonna play out. We can also look at a little bit on small time frames over here, the RSI. You'll see that RSI on these two bottoms over here hit something like 16 level over here 2 times. 16, 18, something like that. These are very, very low levels on the RSI, and right now it's going below over here, but it has this bullish divergence up here when it goes towards the downside, which is understandable, because when price goes very fast, it creates these divergences, right? And these divergences can be either bullish or bearish. And not only that, you'll see that this exhaustion pattern right now, you'll see this exhaustion pattern over here right now doesn't have that much momentum, because momentum is getting weaker and weaker and weaker, right? You can see it over here, right? So it is going down, but momentum is getting weaker. That's because the panic sellers, the liquidation, the short sellers are getting exhausted. There are not enough of them to short, to sell, to get liquidated, because everybody already got liquidated. Everybody already panic sold. Everybody already short, so they're just waiting. Once this exhaustion pattern plays out, and you can see this on the momentum chart over here as well, this goes towards upside. So how high towards upside are we gonna go? That's the question. But I'm definitely looking for the next move towards upside over here right now. How low we can go? We can also go into small time frames and try to figure out and try to put a long position. But I definitely believe right now over here, close to this bottom over here, somewhere over here, there is a very nice short long positions waiting to be filled. and probably I already feel them waiting, because I think the next move is definitely towards upside. Was there anything else on the RSI? No, on the indicators? No. So that's the very interesting. Another thing also on the daily time frame, the 200 moving average, but also see if you look at the RSI down here, that this is also very interesting. The RSI right now is hitting some very, very low level, like 23. And if you go back and look at the chart over time, you'll see that every time this actually happened, when you hit these very, very low levels, these low levels have indicated some kind of bottom over here. You can see over here, it went a little bit up and continued towards downside, but you're very, very close to the bottom before it actually starts going towards upside. Over here also some kind of bottom, right? So definitely these, 23 levels on the daily, they oftentimes indicate some kind of bottom. We are not looking right now at this bear market over here, or this capitulation move towards downside, because this capitulation move, even though this capitulation move had a nice rebound over here, they can, when you have 23 levels on the RSI in some kind of very bearish market, it can just continue, going towards downside. So we're not analyzing R23 with this, but we are analyzing R23 with a bull market, because that's what is telling us that right now we might be getting to that very, very major support level where we're actually going to bounce. You also see over here that the 200 moving average, even though we went below that a little bit, we still bounced off of that. And once we over here, when we had the bull market over here, we broke that sign of weakness. We went up and then went below it again. Over here we got rejected, went down a little bit over here, but as soon as we came back above it, you can see how nicely we actually managed to bounce off of the 200 moving average over here, and then we just held the 200 moving average towards the upside. So this very first move below the 200 moving average might indicate the first sign of weakness on the chart, but it does not mean that it's over, because it just indicates a little bit weakness. We already know that we are very close to the top when it comes to Bitcoin, but we just don't know where the top is, right? And right now we still don't believe this is top. Yes, a lot of people will say this is double top. This is a double top. We just break the support. We are going down. Everything is, everybody is in panic mode. Bull market is over. Everything is overextended, whatnot, but it's not overextended. We just had a consolidation of, I don't know how long. This consolidation has been lasting since last November, so that's like 4 months consolidation. But people will see a double top, they will see the breakdown, they will look at the move down over here, that's all the way down to 71k. They're looking, we're gonna go all the way down to 70k, and then maybe there is bounce over here or something like that. I don't look at that, because I know that when you look at this chart over here, I'm just gonna remove the moving averages over here a little bit. What you're gonna see over here is that the liquidation, not liquidation, the liquidity part of the chart is up here in the blue box. This is the liquidity part. This is when everybody gets liquidated, and we are already into that. You don't have to go and pick up all the liquidity on the downside. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes it does, but it doesn't always happen. But we are already picking as much liquidity as we possibly can. And right now I'm looking to come see whether we can actually come back towards upside. So the chart for me looks very much bullish. I still don't believe this is any kind of double top over here towards upside. The dominance has not fallen. The altcoins are still wrecked, and we still got something like 6 to 8 months until supermoons, until bull market top. 4-year cycles, so there is that. Another thing that's very interesting is Ethereum, not this chart. This chart over here. So if you zoom out a little bit on Ethereum, we're gonna go into the weekly time frame. Ethereum has actually a huge triangle that's happening right now, and Ethereum is one of the biggest altcoins, the main squeeze, and it's still inside the trend. It did not break yet towards the upside. It's still consolidating, and right now we are coming to that place. And this place, so when you have some kind of triangle, the triangle doesn't go always all the way to the end before it breaks, but somewhere between 60 and 70% over here it breaks towards upside or downside, right? So we can have a trend channel. It is around this part over here, give or take, where it starts breaking towards upside or downside, somewhere over here very close, but it doesn't go all the way up here. Sometimes in February 2027 it breaks down or up or whatever, right? It breaks sooner than that. But what we're gonna see on this chart up here is right now that Ethereum is holding very nicely support up here towards downside, and when this capitulation move is happening, you'll see that this entire move towards downside, this trend over here, is still trending towards downside technically, but it's hitting this major level of support. So I haven't analyzed the chart more than that, but to me, just looking at altcoins market and how altcoins are reacting and how Ethereum is going to be performing, there is no way I can imagine this bull market playing out without Ethereum breaking the all-time high, right? So I cannot call the bull market over before we are actually above the all-time high at around the 4.9k or something like that. It's just not gonna happen. I mean, I'm gonna go to 28, 29, whatever, the next bull market up, and then say it's over. I'm gonna call this bull market is lasted from 2021 to 2028. If that's how long it takes for Ethereum to break up. But I think if this bull market is gonna be over, the first thing that needs to happen is that Ethereum needs to break the 4.3k level, 4.9k all-time high, and then go higher than that. So whether there's gonna be 6k, 5k, you know, 10k, whatever, I don't know. But what I do know is that before it can actually be over, we need to break that. And right now we are not quite just there yet. But it looks good. I mean, if this isn't one of the most beautiful charts, I don't know. So when stuff is often, when you have some kind of triangle, this over here is resistance, this is support level. Traders, they see resistance level like over here, and they short that like you know what. Every time they see that, they short that like crazy, right? Because they don't care. They try to be not emotional. They don't try to, you know, overthink stuff. They see resistance, they make a short position. On the other side, they see a support, they make a long position, because over here this goes towards upside, right? They see support, this is support. Just long it, you know, very, very close. Start longing, whatever, right? And right now we're coming to this level. So you can see here, as soon as we hit with this week over here downside, people went up, you know, people longed like crazy. Why? Support level is for longing. That's how these things work. You get a support level, you long it. You get a you know, resistance level, you short it. That's basically it. And you try not to, you know, complicate it with the emotions and wife and all of these kind of stuffs. So this actually looks very, very nice. So the way I'm seeing right now, Ethereum is down at the bottom. Bitcoin dominance looks weak. Bitcoin, major fear, extreme fear all across the market. To me, it looks like we are getting very, very close. Now, also notice that before we move on to DXY, notice over here this doji at the top, right? So when stuff moves up, oftentimes you see these bearish dojis when price has this big red candle towards downside. These three candles are oftentimes very, very bearish. Regardless of these three candles, oftentimes price continues towards downside. Now, keep that in mind, and I'm going to show you right now. We're going to go to DXY, because a lot of time people are looking at DXY and trying to compare it with what's going to happen with Bitcoin, right? So this right now is short term moving towards downside a little bit, but if you look at it over here in the monthly time frame, you'll see the same kind of doji. Big moves towards upside, we got a doji, and right now this candle is moving towards downside. We still got 1 day and 4 hours left, and I don't think this candle has any chance kind of to recover back above the high up here and create some kind of green candle. So these three candles up here are very, very bearish, and it does look like, at least looking just on these three candles, that this is going to continue a little bit towards downside. So, you know, March, April, May, whatever, it can even go below the support, because if you look over here in these last pivot point, so this is low, 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 high, high, high. Oh, this is actually creating an expanding musical instrument over here, so we can definitely go all the way down to some kind of 93 level again before you know, either do this move up here or go towards upside. This mid level over here is going to be very important to see whether it does this over here move or down here or something like this. We don't know actually how this is going to play out, but right now, just looking at this last part over here, it looks like it's going to continue towards downside. Another interesting thing that's important to know about DXY is that on big time frames, DXY is actually extremely bullish. So if you look at the DXY on the big time frames, there is no divergences on the chart, on the RSI, on the yearly time frame. The momentum is still climbing towards upside, also breaking the zero line up here, extremely bullish. So DXY is extremely bullish, guys, right? This move up here is still trending in the same trend. It can go towards downside up here, but again, this is a yearly time frame, so it doesn't tell you what's going to happen next 6 to 8 months. It can tell you what you think is going to happen the next 5 to 10 years, but not next 6 to 8 months. But it is important to know that DXY, even if it goes down to 98 or something like that, and goes again towards upside up here, whatever, right? Yeah. It is still bullish, because this is a rising channel. Technically, rising channels are more bearish than bullish, but right now it's in a bullish channel, and this can actually continue for a very, very long time. But we still, again, want to know what's going to happen just next 6 to 8 months. And right now, the best predictor of what's going to happen next at least next couple of months, is this doji over here, this big move towards upside. I don't think we have any kind of divergence over here on the chart either. This just moved a little bit, but it's just zigzagging over here. I don't think we have anything right now that's on the indicators and because it's just zigzagging over here. This zigzagging, what this zigzagging does is it resets the indicators, right? So all the indicators starts coming to these, you know, some kind of midpoints over here. You know, you have big moves and then you have smaller moves over here at the end. So it's really hard to analyze charts that go sideways and just zigzags and does nothing, like this chart over here, right? So we haven't seen actually any kind of big move on the DXY. It is very stable, at least ever since this is a March 2021, where it explodes towards upside and then it pulls back, and right now it just kind of waits, to see what's going to happen, right? Right now it's coming down to this support level over here. Can it move a little bit more towards upside before it actually breaks down or anything like that? I think there is a good chance for breaking towards downside, like we just saw because of the weekly time frame. But it's really hard to say what's going to happen next because it just zigzags kind of sideways. These sideways moves are, you know, they're kind of hard to analyze. So this breakout towards upside, so if you look at this channel, sideways channel, this breakout sideways, this breakout towards upside should actually have been bullish. Once you have some kind of channel and you break through that, you cannot continue zigzagging. You can, but oftentimes you should continue pumping towards upside because you just broke some kind of trend. You could create new trend. New trend should go over here, doubling of that. So it should go something like this over here. This is new trend. But if it fails that, so in March, if we come back over here a little bit more towards downside, I'm pretty confident there is a very high probability it's going to go all the way to the bottom, maybe even get some kind of wick towards downside. So we're again looking over here, June, July, maybe it depends on how long this actually takes. September, October, where our, you know, bull market top is. So this move towards downside is very, very probable. The way I see it, right? Just analyzing the DXY. So that's what I think about DXY, but I don't think that Bitcoin and DXY are inversely correlated or anything like that. But people like to believe that. So DXY goes up, Bitcoin goes up, altcoins explode. I mean, I won't complain if that happens, right? So how's this? So dollar goes down, and if dollar goes down, I think there is more correlation between dollar and stock market than dollar and Bitcoin. So if dollar goes down, which I think there is a very good chance for, I think that looking at the chart over here on S&P 500, Nasdaq, and the Dow Jones, I think we are seeing right now weakness in price, but I think there is still, you know, a very good chance for this to continue over zigzagging before it actually breaks towards downside, right? Even breaking up these highs up here, trying to go higher and then break down eventually towards that. I don't know if you guys remember, but S&P 500, we called the top over here at 4.7 something, right? It went a little bit higher than that at 4.8 something. Maybe we called over here, I don't know, very, very close. We called the top over here, and after that we had this big major move towards downside that I was expanding musical instrument created up here. And once this started being created, you know, we started looking at the bottom down here and just reversed and started going towards upside. And right now, this part over here, it reminds me very much of this part over here. It was a little bit different because this part over here was a rising wedge that had this breakdown, weakness in price, that had this breakdown and then tried to get up, failed to do that, and then move towards downside, right? Now we don't have that rising wedge, but what we do have is trends failing, right? So we have over here a small trend which fails, but it just creates this next trend over here below that, and it continues, right? And then it broke that, and right now it's created this trend over here. And it broke that, and you can see up here how the trend is weakening, but it's still going towards upside. It's a different kind of trend than a rising wedge. And right now there is a major support over here. Technically, the support goes something like this over here. Right now it's coming to the support level, but I believe if it wants to go up, if the DXY falls down, there is a very good chance that we might break again these highs over here, try to go higher eventually, sometimes, you know, during the year, or maybe before, after that, then go down. On the other hand, if this breaks down, it breaks down. I don't think the stock market going down a little bit, you know, is going to affect that much Bitcoin. it might, I don't know. Bitcoin is pretty big there, but if it does break down, we might see some kind of, you know, fast move again towards upside, some kind of retest before it actually breaks up, break down again. So over here also, when we broke down, we had a retest, and then we went down all the way down towards the bottom, right? But it is very close to the end, the way I see it when it comes to S&P 500, but where it's right over here at the top, I'm a little bit unsure about that. The same thing goes for Nasdaq. Nasdaq is breaking down here a little bit, but kind of same kind of moves, right? You got these trends that go very, very steeply towards downside, and they start kind of breaking a little bit over here. Even this one over here, the bigger one up here, is kind of breaking. Like everything is breaking up here. There's a rising wedge. This break right now is coming inside this box up here. It looks like it might be close to the top, and it might actually break more towards downside. But I believe once this breakdown or panic is done, I think there will be a big rally towards upside up here, which might actually last, you know, who knows for how long, and after that we might see some kind of move down. I'm again not also sure when it comes whether Bitcoin or and stock market at the same time are gonna reach the top. Are they correlated when it comes to cycles? Are there 4-year cycles on both of those things? I can't analyze everything, but right now I think that we are very, very close to the top regardless. So we're gonna see that. Don't take my word for it, because I was wrong on gold. If you look at gold over here, gold is still, you know, trending towards upside, but it looks like, you know, it might be toppy up here. But when it came to doing this, you know, zigzag pattern up here, people are telling me that this is a cup and handle pattern. I was like, nah, it's not cup and handle pattern, but it looks like it's cup and handle pattern. And I was more bearish than bullish on the gold. But if you could look at gold over here and you know, say that this is cup and handle pattern are pretty much standard way of measuring the moves up here. So it has a little bit 3K up here, a little bit more move towards upside, just to hit that measure move before something happens. Not gonna analyze the gold, but you know, there is that. Now there are two stocks that I told you that we're gonna talk a little bit about when we come to the end of the video, and those two stocks are NIO and Match Group. Match Group, do you know what Match Group is? You know, Tinder, Hinge, all of these, you know, stuff. So Match Group is very interesting, because I don't think the dating is gonna die, guys. I always say, if you're gonna, you know, invest in a stock, you gotta ask yourself, is this thing gonna die? Also, Airbnb is not gonna die. I checked out Airbnb like a week ago for some reasons. I never opened that Airbnb site ever in my life, but I looked at it and I understood immediately, this thing is never gonna die. So Airbnb is good, but if you look at the chart, Airbnb, it's not very interesting because it's not down. We like charts that are down. You see this move over here, that's down. Now the reason I'm interested in chart is because I saw on YouTube Asmongold Gold. I don't know if you know who the guy is. The guy that plays World of Warcraft and a lot of other games. Regardless, he was looking at some video from other guy. Talking about Match.com and how, you know, these dating sites are dying and stuff like that. And I always like when somebody says, oh, this thing is dying, because I know that, you know, they are probably looking at the charts and they are looking for panic, you know, titles and stuff like that, right? But I was looking at the chart and I checked out Match Group. They are making billions in money, guys. Dating is never gonna. Every single year, there are a new batch of millions of 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds coming, you know, to the scene, and they're gonna try these apps. They're gonna try Tinder and Hinge and all of these other apps. Nothing is gonna change. Yes, when you get to 25, you're kind of bored of, you know, Tinder or whatnot, and you're gonna, you know, stop using it, and they're gonna, you know, show you the doomsday, you know, statistics FUD from the Match Group. Look at this, everybody comes to 25, they stop. Yes, but these 18-year-olds, they don't know. This first time they want to try Tinder, you know. So dating sites are not going to go away. Match Group is one of the biggest players when it comes to dating sites. I don't know how many dating sites they have, and you can see here what's happened with that. Now, when you have these kind of moves, you know, you got to go down a little bit, right? So this move over here was something like, you know, 20x towards upside. You got to pull back. Now the question is how long this pullback is going to be. But I'm thinking right now that down here, when it comes to this exhaustion pattern, because this over here, this trend over here, this fast moving trend towards downside, this capitulation move up here that we just talked about, it's pretty much over, right? So the question is just now is how long this is going to take. When are we going to break down? What I'm looking when it comes to Match.com over here right now is this line. You can see right now we are, you know, just barely not yet above that right now. But again, I think the chart looks good. I looked a little bit about numbers and stuff like that. They are getting more and more. I don't know if they are getting more and more people, but I cannot understand how can you not at least keep up your, you know, subscriber numbers when there is millions and millions of new 18 and 19-year-olds coming to the market every single year. So I think the daily chart nice. It's down something like how much is down from the top over here? It was down like 84%, just like Bitcoin. It just the first move towards downside. And right now, the way I see it, it is down at the bottom. So I think it's interesting. So I want to talk a little bit about that. In another chart I wanted to talk about is NIO. If you look at NIO, NIO is also down big time. NIO is a little bit different chart because it's kind of just bleeds and bleeds and bleeds. And I'm a little bit unsure on when it comes to NIO because I looked at their cars and I don't like it because they have these cameras that stick out on top of the car, which I think is extremely stupid. The other thing I don't like is they have this battery changing technology on their cars, which I think is also very stupid. Regardless, there is not that many full electric car makers, so they can definitely change. That said, China and Asians are definitely leading the market when it comes to, well, Tesla is leading the market when it comes to EVs, but BYD is up there, and Chinese are really good to adapt and change. That said, there will not only be 2 car makers in the world, EV car makers in the world, there will be more. But I was looking at NIO up here, and the only thing reason I want to talk a little bit about the only reason I want to say a quick word about the NIO is that I think it is very, very close to breaking this trend line. So let me just remove these 3 lines over here, and you'll see that you know, this very, very nice trend is right now coming very, very close to being broken towards the upside. And I think once that happens, this downtrend for NIO is pretty much over. Can it pull back more and wait? I mean, technically it can. Maybe something happens, you know, maybe they come out with bad numbers, this and that, and something goes down. But I think it's just waiting for some kind of news or something like that before it starts breaking again towards upside, because it still has, you know, high, lower high, lower high. It's still going towards downside, but it is very, very close right now to break towards upside. I'm still interested in NIO. I don't have any money to invest, unfortunately, right now. I'm full in crypto, but I think the chart is actually very, very nice. And the last thing I want to talk about is way forward. As you see on my channel, I haven't actually been posting that much. This video is right now 46 minutes long, but I think like I can definitely do 1 video at least, you know, here and there, and you know, keep you guys updated on what's happening. Because tell you the truth, for some reason I had my hands full on a whole bunch of other stuff, and I'm not really that much into analyzing the charts anymore. So I don't know, I was thinking maybe just talking about stonks, because I do like that, you know, talking about Match Group and NIO and Palantir and, you know, Tesla and whatever interests me, you know, natural gas. Because when it comes to the companies and stuff like that, you can actually talk about more about fundamentals of the company, you know, how much they're making, how many customers are getting, you know, psychology behind it. I think that's a lot more interesting. When it comes to crypto and talking about fundamentals, even though they do have fundamentals, I'm not really that much into it, because technology, you know, crypto technology is not my thing. I gotta tell you that right now. You know, Web3, it just doesn't get me going. Anyways, guys, my milk is getting warm. Have a nice day. And that was pretty much what I wanted to talk about. Take care. Bye-bye.